Hello and welcome to my first video on this channel. That's gonna be about light novels of the manhwas. I hope you like it, and I'm gonna be sure, after each video I will try to be more professional and thank for everyone that gonna support the channel. With like or comment, thank you all. Now let's get to the novel. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, the beginning of the novel, Chapter 1 and 2. There are 3 ways to survive in a ruined world. Now, I have forgotten a few, but one thing is certain. The fact that you who are reading this now will survive. A web novel platform filled the screen of my old smartphone. I scrolled down and then up again. How many times have I been doing this? Really? This is the end. I looked again, and the complete was unmistakable. The story was over. 3 Ways to Survive in a Ruined World was a feature-length fantasy novel with 3,149 chapters. Its shortened name was Ways of Survival. I have been steadily reading this novel since the 3rd year of middle school. During the time when I was bullied by Ilgins, when I ruined my entrance examinations and had to enter a local university, when the damned random draw went wrong and I was placed in the military unit at the forefront, when I repeatedly switched jobs and am now working as a contractor for an affiliate of a large company. Damn, let's stop talking about this. Anyway, author's words. Thank you so much for reading Ways of Survival up to here. I will come back to you with an epilogue. Ah, the epilogue still remains. Then the next chapter is really the last one. From the end of childhood to adulthood, it had been done over a huge period of 10 years. There was a mixture of despondency that a world was coming to an end, along with a sense of satisfaction. I opened the comment box of the last message and rewrote the sentence several times. Kim Dokja. Writer, thank you for everything in the meantime. I am looking forward to the epilogue. They were sincere sentences. Ways of Survival was my life's novel. It wasn't the most popular, but it was the best novel for me. There were many words I wanted to say, but I couldn't write them. I was afraid that my careless words would hurt the writer. An average of 1.9 hits per chapter. An average of 1.08 comments. This was the average popularity index of Ways of Survival. The number of views for the first chapter was 1,200, but it fell to 120 for the 10th chapter, and then 12 for the 50th chapter. By the time it was the 100th chapter, it was only 1. Hits equals 1. I was overwhelmed by the feeling I got when I saw the numerous one that appeared next to the list of chapters. In some cases there was a 2, but it was likely someone pressing the wrong button. Thank you. The author published a novel with more than 3,000 chapters with just 1 hit per chapter over a period of 10 years. It was truly a story just for me. I pressed on the recommendation board and immediately started tapping on the keyboard. I am recommending a Honey Jam novel. The author wrote me a free completed novel, so I should give him a recommendation. I clicked on the completed button, and comments quickly appeared. It looks like a new anti. I searched for this person's ID, and they recommended the same novel several times. Isn't his recommendation banned? The author shouldn't do this here. It occurred to me that I had written a recommendation several months ago. In an instant, there were dozens of comments for investigation by spectators. My face flushed with embarrassment. I was sure that the author would read this. So I hurriedly tried to delete the message, but it was already reported that the message couldn't be removed. It was upsetting to think that the recommendation written with all my sincerity turned out like this. If they even looked a little bit, why didn't anyone try reading the interesting novel? I wanted to give a donation to the writer, but I couldn't afford it because I was a salary worker barely able to make a living. Then I received a notification that a message has arrived. TL's 123. Thank you. A message flew in from out of nowhere. It took me a while to grasp the situation. Kim Dokja. The author? TLS 123. It was the author of Ways of Survival. TLS 123. I was able to complete it to the end thanks to you. I also won the competition. I couldn't believe it. Ways of Survival won a competition. Kim Dokja. Congratulations. What is the competition? TLS 123. You won't know it because it is an unknown competition. I wondered if he lied because he was ashamed, but I wanted it to be true. Perhaps I really didn't know. It might be a bit hit on other platforms. I was a little sad, but it was good to have an excellent story spreading. TLS 123. I would like to send a special gift to you as a thank you. Kim Dokya. Gift. TLS 123. It is thanks to my dear reader that this story has come into the world. I gave the writer my email address as he asked. TLS 123. Ah, right. I got the monetization schedule. Kim Dokja. Wow, really? When will it start? This masterpiece should have been paid from the beginning. It was a lie. The Ways of Survival was a daily series, so I would have had to spend 3,001 a month. 3,001 was one convenience store lunch for me. TLS 123. The monetization starts tomorrow. Kim Dokja. Then the epilogue coming tomorrow will be paid? TLS 123. Yes, I'm afraid you need to pay for it. Kim Dokja. Of course, I have to pay. I will buy the last one. There was no reply from the author afterward. I logged out of the site. Then I felt the pessimism sink in later. The author left without a reply after he succeeded. My admiration turned into petty jealousy. What was I so excited for? In any case, it wasn't my novel. Will he give a gift certificate? It would be good if it's for 50,001. At that time, I was thinking naively. I didn't know anything about what would happen to the world the next day. Episode 1, starting the paid service one. I'm Dokja. Dokja can mean only son or reader. I usually introduced myself to people like this, then the following misunderstanding would occur. Oh, are you an only child? I am, but that isn't what I mean. Huh? Then, my name is Dokja. Kim Dokja. Kim Dokja, Kim highly respected only son. My father gave me that name to be a strong man by myself. However, thanks to the name my father gave me, I turned out to be just a normal, single, and lonely man. In short, it was like this. I was Kim Dokya, 28 years old, and single. My hobby was reading web novels on the subway. Then I'll go on my smartphone. In a noisy subway, I raised my head reflexively. A pair of curious eyes were staring straight at me. They belonged to an employee from the Human Resources team, Yu Sanga. Ah, hello. Are you going home from work? Yes. What about Yu Sanga-si? I was lucky. The manager went on a business trip today. Yu Sanga sat down soon as the seat next to me became vacant. A subtle scent came from her shoulders, making me nervous. Do you normally take the subway? That. Yu Senga made a dark expression. Come to think of it, this was the first time I'd met Yu Senga on a subway train, starting with personnel manager Kang to finance. Manager Han. There were rumors that Yu Senga had men from the company driving her home every workday. Yet unexpected words came from Yu Senga's mouth. Someone stole my bicycle. Bicycle. You commute by bike? Yes. I have a lot of overtime these days and seem to be lacking exercise. It is a bit annoying, but it is worth doing. Aha, I see. Yu Senga smiled. Looking closer at her, I could understand the feelings men held toward her. However, it was none of my business. Every person had a genre of life, and Yu Senga was someone who lived a genre different from myself. After the awkward conversation, we looked at our phones. I opened up the novel app I was reading on before while Yu Sanga. What was this? Por favor, dinero. Huh? Spanish. I see. What does it mean? Please give me some money, Yu Sanga replied proudly. Studying on the subway while going home, she truly had a genre different from me. However, what was the use of memorizing words? You're working hard. By the way, what is Dokjashi looking at? Ah, Yu Sanga's gaze was fixed on the LCD screen of my smartphone. Is it a novel? Yes, well, I am studying Korean. Wow, I also like novels. I haven't been able to read lately because I don't have time. It was surprising. Yu Singa liked reading novels. Murakami Haruki, Raymond Carver, Han Kang. I thought so. Dokjashi, what writers do you like? You won't know even if I say their names. I've read a lot of novels. Who are the authors? At this time, it was really hard to say that I read web novels as a hobby. I glanced at the title of the novel in the app. The World After the Fall. Author: Sing Sheng Shong. TL. The author uses the name of his previous novel and his author name, but with slight changes. I decided to go with the actual novel translation name. I couldn't say that I was reading The World After the Fall by Sing Shangshong. It is just a fantasy novel. That, well, like The Lord of the Rings? Yusanga's eyes widened. Uh-huh. Lord of the Rings, I've seen the movie. The movie is good. The silence continued for a moment. Yusanga was looking at me like she was waiting for me to say something. Our conversation was becoming strained, so I decided to change the topic. It has been a year since I joined the company. This is my last year. Time moves really fast. Yes. At that time, we both knew nothing, right? That's right. It seems like just yesterday, but the contract period is already over. I realized that I'd said something wrong when I saw Yu Sanga's expression. I had forgotten. Yu Sanga received credit for a foreign buyer last month and was already promoted to a full-time employee. Ah, right. My congratulations are late. I'm sorry. Ha ha ha. I should have worked hard to study a foreign language. Ah, no, Dokjasi. There is still the performance review and... I hated to admit it, but the sight of Yu Sanga talking was wonderful. It was like the world's spotlight was shining down on only one person. If this world was a novel, the protagonist would be such a person. In fact, it was the inevitable result. I hadn't tried, but Yu Senga made an effort. I just read novels on the internet, while Yu Senga studied hard. It was natural that Yu Senga would become a full-time employee, and that my contract would be terminated. That, Dokjashi. Yes. If you don't mind, would you like to know the app I use? Yu Sanga's voice momentarily became distant. It felt like the world was far away. I braced my mind and stared straight ahead. A boy was sitting in the seat opposite me on the train. He was 10 years old or so. The boy held an insect collecting net as he sat next to his mother, laughing happily. Dokjasi. What if I had a different life from now? I mean, what if my life genre was different? Kim Dok. If the genre of my life wasn't realism but fantasy, could I be the protagonist? I didn't know. It would probably be unknown forever. However, there was one thing I knew. It is okay, you Sengasi. Huh? It won't work even if you tell me the app. The genre of my life was obviously realism. Dokja has a solo life. Huh? What? I am just someone like that. In this genre, I wasn't a protagonist, but a solo person. The life of a solo. Yusange had a serious expression on her face. However, I waved my hands to show it was really okay. I didn't know why, but this person was really worried about me. Maybe because she was part of the personnel department. I was already aware of my performance, though. Dokjasi is really good. Yes? Then I will live an ivory life. Sanga Shivori. Yu Sanga seemed to have decided something as she turned back to studying Spanish. I gazed at her for a while before returning to the novel. Everything had returned to normal, but, strangely, my scrolling of the novel didn't go well. Maybe it was because I realized the weight of reality that I couldn't scroll down. At that time, a notification appeared at the top of my smartphone. You have one new mail. It was from the author of Ways of Survival. I opened the mail. Reader Nim, my novel will become paid from 7 p.m. This will be helpful. Good luck. One attachment. The author said he would give me a gift. What was the gift? Like my name, I was also a reader by nature, so I was excited to receive the mail. Yes, it wasn't bad living as a reader. I checked the time. It was 6:55 p.m. I had exactly 5 minutes before the novel became monetized at 7 p.m. Then I opened up my list of preferred novels in the app. Since I was the only reader, I should leave a congratulatory comment and give strength to the author. However, the work doesn't exist. I tried typing ruined several times in the search box, but the result was the same. The bulletin board for Ways of Survival had disappeared without a trace. It was strange. Had there ever been a case of a novel being deleted without notification when it was going to be monetized? At that moment, the subway lights turned off, and the inside of the train became dark. Kaik! The subway train shook loudly and let out a metallic sound. It caused Yu Sanga to scream and grab my arm. Then I heard the sound of other people getting stirred up. Yu Sanga gripped my arm so tightly that I paid more attention to the pain in my left arm than the sudden stop. It took a dozen seconds for the train to stop fully. Then I heard confused voices coming from everywhere. What? What is this? In the dark, one or two smartphone lights turned on. Yu Sanga still held my left arm tightly as she asked, "Whoa, what is going on?" I pretended to be unconcerned. "Don't worry, it isn't a big deal." Is that so? Yes, it is probably a disturbance from a suicide. The engineer will soon make an announcement. As I finished speaking, I heard the engineer's announcement, telling all passengers on the train, telling all passengers on the train. The loud surroundings became calm. I sighed and opened my mouth. See, it isn't a big deal. Now an apology will air and the power will come back on. Everyone run away. Run! What? There was a beeping sound and the broadcast turned off. The inside of the train became a mess. Did Dokja see? What is this? A bright light flashed from the front of the subway train. There was a loud drumming sound followed by a pop. Something was heading this way in the darkness. It was just a coincidence that I saw the clock at this moment. 7 p.m. Tick. It felt like the world was stopping. Then I heard a voice. The free service of Planetary System 8612 has been terminated. The main scenario has started. This was the moment the genre of my life changed. Dokebi. The first time he appeared, someone said so. I didn't know why, but that sentence suddenly popped up in my head. The stopped subway train, the dark room. These details gave me a sense of déjà vu. The subway had stopped before, but it was rare. Even so, why? I remembered the familiar words from a novel, but it was ridiculous. Wasn't it impossible? At this moment, the door of car 3807 opened wide, and the electricity returned. Yu Sanga muttered by my side, "Dokebi." My head was ringing. I trembled uneasily as the novel I knew and the reality before me overlapped. With two small horns and wearing a small straw mat, the strange and fluffy creature was floating in the air. It was too strange to call it a fairy, too evil to call it an angel, and too tranquil to call it a demon. Thus, it was called a dokkaibi, and I already knew the first thing the dokkaibi would say. Fiction and reality overlapped precisely. What is this? Augmented reality. Amidst the chattering people, I was thrown into another world alone. This was unmistakably a dokebi, the very dokebi that opened the door to tragedy for thousands of lives in Ways of Survival. It was Yu Sanga's voice that broke me out of my thoughts. It sounds vaguely like Spanish. Should I talk to it? I was a bit taken aback and asked, "Do you know what that is? Will you ask it for money?" No, but it was at this time that I heard the correct pronunciation of Korean. Ah, ah, does this sound good? I had a hard time because the Korean patch didn't work. Everyone, can you hear my words? As a familiar language was being spoken, I could see people's expressions relax. The first one to step up was a big man in a suit. "Hey, what are you doing right now?" "Huh? Are you filming?" "I have to go because I have to quickly get to an audition." He seemed to be an obscure actor since his face was unfamiliar. If I were a casting director, I would have picked him out for his brimming ambition. Unfortunately, the presence before him right now wasn't a director. Auditions. That's right. This is also an audition. Haha, there was a shortage of data. I just entered when it was monetized at 7 p.m. What? What are you talking about? Now. All of you, relax in your seats and listen to me. From now on, I will tell you something very important. My chest was becoming stuffy. What? Quickly get off the train. Somebody call the captain. What are they doing without the cooperation of the citizens? Mother, what is that? A cartoon? There was no doubt about it. This was the development I knew. I didn't want to be mixed up in this. But there was no way. The people present wouldn't listen to the small and cute-looking CG creature. The only thing I could do was stop Yu Sanga, who was trying to get up from her seat. "Yu Sanga, see, it is dangerous, so stay here." Huh? Yu Sanga's eyes widened. I spoke during a moment of bewilderment, but there was no way to explain what I understood. To be exact, I didn't have to explain. Ha ha ha, you are really loud. There was a presence with a stronger persuasive power than anyone else right now. I told you to be quiet. I closed my eyes slowly as the dokebi's eyes turned red. Something burst and the subway became silent. Ah, ah, ah. There was a big hole in the forehead of the unknown actor who had to go to the audition. The man who had spoken several times collapsed on the spot. This isn't a movie shoot. There was a cracking sound once again. This time it was the person talking about the captain. It isn't a dream. It isn't a novel either. 1, 2. Blood sprayed into the air as the heads of some people started to burst. They were all the people who had protested against the dokaebi, as well as the ones who screamed or went wild. Those who caused the slightest fuss had a hole in their heads. Suddenly the subway became a bloodbath. This isn't the reality that you know. Do you understand? So everyone shut up and listen to me. More than half the people present here died. Blood and body pieces filled the subway. Now the people didn't scream. Like primitive apes in front of a powerful predator, everyone just watched the dokebi with terror. I was surprised and held tightly onto the shoulder of Yu Sanga, who was hiccuping. This was real. The strange message which entered my ears, the dokaebi had appeared in front of me, and the train car that had become a bloodbath. Everyone, your lives have been nice so far. Isn't that right? In the special needs seating area, an elderly grandmother met the eyes of the dokebi. You have been living too long for free. Isn't life too generous? You were born and paid no price for breathing, eating, pooping, and breeding. Ha! You really live in a good world. Free. No one in the subway lived for free. The people strived to make money in order to survive, and they rode the subway on the way home from work. Yet at this moment, no one disputed the dokebi's words. But now the good days are over. How long can you continue living for free? If you want to enjoy happiness, it is common sense to pay a price. Isn't that right? The gasping people couldn't answer. Then, at that time, someone carefully raised their hand. Do you want money? I wondered what type of person could speak in the middle of this situation, but surprisingly, I knew his face. Yu Sangasi, isn't that department head Han of the finance team? Right? There was no doubt. He was a typical parachute in the company and the #1 person newcomers avoided. It was Han Myung-go, department head of the finance team. Why was this man riding the subway? I will give you money. Take it. Please note that I am a person like this. Department head Han pulled out his business card as people cheered him on. It was the atmosphere of a savior fighting against terrorists. How much do you want? A big one? Or two? He was offering a sum that was overly large for a department head of a subsidiary company. There was a rumor that Han Mayung-go was the youngest son of the leader of the affiliate company, and now I thought it might be true. I couldn't carry that many checks in my wallet. You are giving me money? That's right. The cash I have right now isn't much, but I can give you anything if you let me out of here. Money? Good. A plant fiber that many humans mutually agree on. The department head's expression brightened. It was an, indeed, money is everything expression. How pitiful. Now this is all I have. It only applies in your time and space. Huh? At the next moment, flames appeared in the air, and the checks in the department head's hands burned up. Department head Han let out a scream. That paper has no value in the macrocosm world. If you do this one more time, I will blow away your head. Ooh, Fear once again spread on the faces of the people present. It was easy to read what they were thinking because it was just like the novel. What the hell will happen now? Only I knew what was going to happen in the future. Phew, the debt is piling up during the time when you are noisy. Well, yes. Rather than explain it 100 times, isn't it quicker for you to make money yourself? The dokebi's horns rose like they were antennas, and its body floated to the ceiling of the train. A moment later, a message rang out. BI 7623 channel is open. The constellations have entered. A small window emerged in front of everyone's blank eyes. The main scenario has arrived. Main scenario #1, proof of value. Category: main difficulty, F clear conditions. Kill one or more creatures. Time limit, 30 minutes. Compensation 300 coins. Failure, death. The dokebi smiled faintly as it became transparent and disappeared into the next space. Then, good luck, everyone. Please show me an interesting story. Thanks to anyone who watched until the end. Thank you very much.